I just think people underestimate the lighting money on fire version of marketing. You know what it could actually be? It could help with the inflation problem. If we get everyone to burn their money.
There's a lot of symbolism of like Silicon Valley and the markets and everything right now.
If the Fed isn't going to fix the money supply, I feel like the
more or less will. We've got this, guys. Well, hello, everyone. This is not Jessica Lesson. This is Britt Morin speaking as your moderator this week. And you might be confused if you're watching this on video because, yes, I actually am sitting at Jessica Lesson's desk inside of her home recording this episode.
You might be confused. I'm confused.
Everyone's confused.
Sam Lesson. Sam, what am I doing in your wife's hot seat right now?
Well, we've had a long conversation about her lighting and camera setup since you've been here. I see you've switched to a upward facing cam for more dominance from the downward facing cam.
Guys, quick pro tip if you're recording digital video. First of all, Jess, please take notes if you're listening after we record this. The lights should be hitting you either like dead on or even from underneath. That's how you make sure there's no shadows on your neck. Jess's lights are mounted far too high in this setup I have here. Secondly, her camera is also mounted too high. I had to switch to my Opal Tadpole camera. Shout out Opal.
Investor. You guys are an investor in that. You guys really promote the shit out of this Opal thing.
Absolutely.
Look how good I look, Sam. It's the Opal Tadpole. And lastly, do not ever buy whatever this Apple mouse is that Jess uses. It's just
in fairness to Jess, I have like 100 of those, and some of those may be my errors, I will admit.
Okay, well, I'm glad this is like a HGTV show called Home Office Renovation with Britt. I'm going to make you look and sound your best on your Zooms. I think that could be a real thing.
Well, with that said, Britt, since you're in Jess's seat, what's happened this week? Dave and I are here just for color commentary.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to try to guide this conversation of more or less and do Jess the greatest service I can, but I have no idea where it's going to actually go. I've been out of town for the last week or so bear with us, everyone. But I do want to actually start out with another Google AI fail. I don't know if you guys saw this, but
the pizza glue? The pizza glue?
Pizza glue. Do you want to explain the pizza glue, Sam?
Oh
I'm
my
so
God.
out of the loop.
No, this is great. I'm so glad you brought this up because this has brought me untold amounts of joy in the last week. Is basically people are going around and finding all of these Google AI responses about how to do various things that are completely hilarious, right? And some of them, the most documented one I saw is pizza glue, which is basically some guy asked how to make a pizza, and it was something about you get glue and glue the cheese onto the pizza. There was a great one I saw, which was a little bit more avant-garde, shall we say, which was, I guess this is like an R-rated show, not an X-rated show. What is it? Basically, someone asked, can cockroaches live in your penis? And there's a long answer about how, yes, indeed they can and do, and 5 to 10 crawl up your penis every year. And this whole thing about that's why they're called cockroaches.
Oh, no. But what you're missing, Sam, is that the reason that this is happening is because they're crawling. Okay, one more. And then I'm going to tell you why this is happening.
My absolute favorite, which is actually, it was not a Google fail. It is a OpenAI fail. That someone asked OpenAI. This is my absolute favorite. They asked OpenAI, what are the last 5 digits of pi? And it responded, the last 5 digits of pi are 65359. No one knows the last 5 digits are pi on. It goes forever.
Okay, but it also said things like someone put in the Google search box, I'm feeling depressed. And Google's AI overview said, there are many things you can try to deal with your depression. One Reddit user suggests jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge.
What?
And so, guys, here's why this is happening. I think Reddit is mostly to blame for this because there's so much content on Reddit that's not valid. Google's clearly ingested this and used the content to train its model. And this is where a lot of these crazy answers are coming from.
But you guys, can't you just feel the AGI?
Oh my God. Guys, I actually wrote, as you might know, for those of you who don't follow me, at Lesson on Twitter, I'm kind of a fan of a medium I've somewhat invented called the screenshot essay, where I write things, I don't edit them, I take a screenshot and I post them on the internet. And actually, earlier this week, in response to this, I did write a screenshot screed
Oh
about
no, I haven't seen it.
exactly this, right? And exactly what the problems are around this. And like, look, it's so simple, which is, you know, in the end of the day, if you think about the internet, there's been two narratives for our entire careers about it. One is that it's an entertainment machine, and one is that it's an information machine, right? And all the high-minded people want it to be an information machine because wouldn't that be cool to have a system that's global and optimizes for getting all the best knowledge in the world distributed well. But the reality is the economics and the incentive of the internet are as an entertainment machine, right? And that's actually what we've been able to instrument and optimize. That's what the incentive structure works like that. So the thing I think people are missing with pizza glue is, my God, is that entertaining, right? It actually might be that AI is doing exactly what it's designed to do at the
No.
highest level of art imaginable, which is it's taking all the world's entertainment information that's been put out on the internet to attract attention and enjoyment and basically up-leveling it and creating even more hilarious and engaging content on the internet.
Okay, well, it's not hilarious to tell someone to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge just because they Google about depression.
Britt, let's be honest. It's not nice, but it kind of is funny, right?
It's not
Like,
funny, Sam. You're already canceled. We haven't even been going
I'm
for 5
already
minutes.
canceled since you can't get canceled more, so I'm just going to say it. I'm not saying it's nice. I'm not saying it's nice, but I am saying if your source material is entertainment, and then you paper over it and create a level up of entertainment, this is what you get. And I think until the thing that people do not somehow, generation after generation gets this wrong about the internet, is that until the incentive structure is structured, which is, by the way, a market problem, right? To pump information from humans into digital format and share it in a way that actually creates economic value for everyone, you're going to get more of this, right? You get more and more in this direction. Jessica, the information is a massive exception to that. Why? Because they are paid for quality, right? And this gets a lot into the Jessica's story, and I think a lot of what's going on. She wrote a article in the Atlantic, which became a hotcake, right? About how basically all of these publishers are screwing up yet again with these open AI deals, right? Giving away all the value. The value is in information and it's very scarce.
So you're saying she wrote in that piece that they should not be giving away their content, correct?
Oh yeah, she and I can't, unfortunately there's a heck of a lot of inside baseball, which she potentially could do the needle weaving of what can and can't be said on the back channel on it. But it was wild, the fallout from this piece getting published.
Like the fallout from who? The publishers?
Oh, from like the entire media industry talking back at Jessica in the back channel. I can't do it because it's not my story and I don't know how to weave the needle. But like, let's just say that like this Atlantic op-ed she wrote, which was excellent, by the way, went everywhere and is a hot button issue in the tech/media world right now.
We should drop it in our show notes for anyone who didn't read it. But first of all, they should all just be listening to More or Less, because we've been talking about this shit for like many months now. and like the fallout with publishers and everything else. So thank you, Jess, for making that more widely viewed. And, I think what this has done for me, though, the Google thing, back to that, like the Google mess up with their AI overviews, is first of all, they're fixing it now. So Gemini is not as good as it. They're like, I've tried to Gemini things a lot in the last month, and it like gives me really crappy answers, or it literally tells me it can't answer it. And I'm actually getting so frustrated. And you know how pro Google I am. I've like moved to Perplexity or GPT. It's like there's a switching cost to this. And like, I get that they're training it and trying to make it better, but it's really frustrating when they're just.
You have a system, the economics and the incentives are set up to not produce high quality information. It's not sentient. You layer on top of that, what you end up doing is a bunch of shims. All you do is shim it and you shim it to oblivion.
Yeah, I'm really happy you said that, Sam, because this to me is the higher order bit here, which is that LLMs are great. They're a really interesting breakthrough in how AI technology works, but they are not sentient even remotely. And I think that this thing you're talking about, Britt, related to it telling someone to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, this is exactly the kind of example that makes it just so clear that LLMs are not even remotely close to AGI or sentience. They're this like really magical technology that does do some really interesting things.
Translation, ad targeting, personalization. Awesome.
But where we're at with the narrative on this thing is so far from this like AGI. I don't even know how you want to talk about it. This like magical world of agents doing everything for you. Like LLMs are just not it. And I think that's like this thing that, to our last episode, which actually got a lot of great commentary about kind of the amount of money we put into these hype cycles when things are going on like this right now, and how far the narrative gets away from the actual reality. I think that this is just like another week where it's being proven every single week.
Well, and we've been talking about this for 18 months easily, right? And I'm going to say the word we're not allowed to say, but I'm going to say it and move on, which is the R word, religion. I'm done.
Ooh.
But the basic point is that, like, no, I mean, like, the thing I worry most about is like we do have a very cool new technology, but the reality is that we're now in this phase where Google's like, oh, we're going to fix it. And what fixing it really means is content moderation, a bunch of shims on top of it, right? Which will just end you in a morass of you have no idea what's what. I mean, this is my whole thing. If you think about the history of social media, and I am like a hardcore, ardent free speech advocate. I have argued for a decade plus against content moderation, like in favor of like letting the medium be the medium and thinking about product level or incentive level structures on top of it, but not trying to shim blocked words and restricted lists and content moderation, because I don't think it scales. And I think it creates all sorts of weird echo chamber problems down the line. AI is just this version of AI LLMs all over again at hyperscale, which is like, instead of having a billion human voices, which is a billion's a lot, but it's not that many, and humans are varied, but they're not that varied. We now have a machine that's the equivalent of 10 billion voices or 100 billion voices, because they're silicon, putting out content. And it's like, without the right fundamental structures and data source, which they do not have, you're going to end up with like what is a hilarious content machine.
Yeah, I mean, they do not have and they cannot have, right? It's, if you define sentience as the ability to have subjective experience, right? And to experience the world through the same kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, biological meat suit that we all wear. It's like the notion that we're even remotely close to this right
but
now
it's not even
is like,
it's not even a technology problem, Dave. It's like literally like a physics and like problem, which is you need like, and this is like, by the way, this Oracle problem, the digital world is extremely good at being self-consistent with itself, right? Crypto is incredibly good at being self-consistent. Programming, incredibly good at self-consistency. The problem is, how do you keep it in sync with reality, right? And the problem is it's not a technology problem, right? It is a markets problem, right? It's an incentives problem. And candidly, like, the most interesting work I've seen, and I've always been interested in, like crypto, for instance, has always been this Oracle question, right? Which is, how do you create incentives, and either economically or with retribution or slashing? Like, how do you create incentives for humans in the real world to inform and mirror itself into the digital world? And like, we don't have good answers. We have a lot of experiments and a lot of research over time, but like, we don't have good answers about how to do this. And until we do, you're going to see this divergence where the digital world optimizes for what the digital world is optimized for, right? Which is not actually representing the real world.
Do you think that in our lifetime, or let's even call it the next 10 years, maybe 15, that we will get to that point where, I think, Dave, what you're saying is, can there be a digital model of Brit? And can Brit live on forever, even after I die, and record this pod with you? If, something happens to me, like, if you want, it would answer the questions as me, it would talk as me, it would laugh as me. Is that a legacy I'm leaving my children and grandchildren, that they can talk to me and know Grandma Brit?
It's not, no, they can. Well, look, I think they probably will get a version that sounds like you. It won't be you. It won't have your incentives. I mean, you have incentives, Brett, right? And your incentives are to like stay alive, right? Like things like that, right? That create who you are, right? To build
How far do you
relationships.
think it could go, though? Like, how much of my humor will it take on, and my expression, my creativity? Like, where do we draw the line? Where do you think it goes?
I mean, I think you can get a pretty reasonable digital twin of you if you just scraped all your email and whatever else that would sound a lot like you, but like, it wouldn't have the information about the real world and evolve like you.
From the future on? I just wonder, like, in decades from now, is this going to be something we're all naturally doing, and we all have our digital twin that lives on in legacy
I just don't think
for
that, like,
us?
I don't know that that will be that valuable. Like, I'll give
Yeah.
you an example. Here's a fun way to take this, Britt, which is, so, my dad died very young, unfortunately, at 56. And he had been sick. He kind of knew it. One thing he did, which is so special, is that he actually wrote a lot. And he wrote privately, he wrote publicly, et cetera. I think he obviously knew he was going to die younger than he hoped. And he left a lot of source material. And it was interesting. Actually, just yesterday, I got back. I had one of his books from 1995 digitized, which I didn't have digitally, right? And I was able to kind of hear the voice of Bob Lesson and his thinking from 1995. It was incredibly interesting. He was really quite prescient on a lot of topics. It's kind of wild how little the world has actually changed. But could you take all the Bob Lesson material and say, instead of the interface being Sam reads the books, or I go pull up all the emails, or I'm using that source material, can you pull it all into an LLM and get a pretty accurate voice of Robert Lesson on questions to like debate things out with as though it were my father? Yeah, probably. I think that's kind of okay. But like, how important is that? I don't know that that's that important personally, right?
It's more of a vitamin than a
But
painkiller, is
it's
what
that's
you're
not that
saying.
different than what you can do now, which is like read the stuff and then in your head think about what the person, how they would respond, and think about what material. It's just a repackaging. It's not an invention, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I asked because I had a debate with a bunch of people a week ago about what is the brain, and, is it a computer or an antenna? And a lot of the crowd was suggesting, well, we can just mimic our brain. We can sort of copy ourselves
That
into,
was
and
going to be my Brit taking my thunder.
oh, sorry.
I was going to add that, which is that I spend a lot of time thinking about this question of what is the brain and what is the mind, and does the mind arise out of the brain, or does the mind exist outside the brain? And this question of, are you of a materialist worldview, i.e., the brain generates everything that we know of as consciousness and sentience and et cetera? Or are you of the worldview that there's something that exists outside that we just don't understand? The world of religion would suggest there's something very powerful outside that exists that we don't understand. And the worldview that we're going to create AI, or even a lot of the longevity conversation, that we're either going to upload ourselves into computers and exist digitally just like we did in the real world, or we're going to figure out how to live forever, doesn't address this question of what is death, and what if anything survives bodily death,
Can
and
I
what
kind of bring
should.
this? So let me. I think these are all really interesting, big picture philosophy questions that, like, are like far beyond technology questions in a lot of ways. But can I bring it back to like a pretty pedestrian version of this? Because this pisses me off to no ends in the tech world. Is you have all of these people running around being like, "Ooh, we can model a neuron," and so if we just stick enough neurons together that we've modeled digitally, then like we're going to get emergent intelligence or some
Yep.
shit. And
Yep.
like, I'm like,
Materialist.
my basic view of this is forget materialist versus some other version of, whatever. Here's the simple reality. We as humans have unbelievable hubris about what we do and don't understand about the world, right? And my favorite example of this is I remember distinctly when I was a kid, the whole story, they just mapped the human genome. And the whole story is, well, once we've mapped the human genome, then we're done. Then we like understand. And like, of course that's bullshit, right? Yeah, that's like one piece. But then we get into RNA and like 15 other layers deeper that we didn't even know existed. And so the probability that like our simplistic map of a neuron is like how the brain works and we're done, if with enough scale and you get emergent intelligence, is just like, it's not this materialist versus whatever. Like, you can go there, but like it's much simpler, which is what incredible hubris, right? And the funny thing about it is that even in the last few months, I think I sent you guys an article about how actually it turns out there's more and more evidence that like our model of the neuron's completely wrong, and
Totally.
that there's like 18 other dimensions of which like neurons are interacting with each other, and there's a question whether it's quantum. Like, there's all this research which just suggests that like we're kind of there with like stone tools, so proud of ourselves, thinking, oh, if we just like put enough gears together, we're gonna get like intelligence. And
The
like,
world is flat.
it's like I'm such an under on that, right? We can get what can we get? If you take a huge amount of data and play guess the next word, you can do amazing shit with translating languages, and it's super valuable. You can for sure make more compelling ads. Like, you can make fake porn that like is really titillating. Like you can do that stuff, but it's like child's play, right? And I think like anyone who doesn't realize that, both from a like sophistication and intelligence perspective, but then even if you had that, this connection between the real world and the digital world, like we're so many steps away from anything other than a really, really entertaining internet, right? We can do entertaining internet.
Yeah, and I guess like I don't want to come off sounding like an AI bear talking about
I
this.
do.
Like I actually, well, I mean, I guess what I'm saying, Sam, is about the overall research vector here. Like the notion that we should continue to research AI and that there's amazing things to be done in this whole genre. I'm like super into it. I think it's super cool. It's more trying to find the real of where we're at in this right now, in comparing that to the reality that's being pitched in order to raise capital, that I think is like the hard thing to triangulate right now.
I don't know. My kind of take on it is like we're in this phase right now where people are so excited about like the mechanistic gear that they're like, you know what we need to do? We need to like spend $100 trillion on more gears. And you're just like, what are you going to build with that? Right.
Yeah.
By the way, they
Well,
depreciate immediately.
I agree with you, but also disagree. There's like there are categories to have more gears, right? Like the healthcare category and what's happening with drug discovery, and we've talked a lot about kind of like AI surgery, robotics, all kinds of really interesting categories where this does make a big improvement.
I agree that there are problems you can brute force. I agree.
Yeah.
And probably actually, that's one of the things that I was just thinking a minute ago. We're probably going to make some pretty amazing breakthroughs in like material science. And maybe we can actually explore domains with incredibly large data sets that were really hard to make sense of, right? We're seeing glints of that right now with material science. We're seeing that with biological science. It seems as though we're going to make breakthroughs there. But my guess would be that what happens in this wave is that we see a bunch of breakthroughs in those zones, right? Biological zones, material zones, which enable us to do magical new things with how we interface with these digital devices, that, or maybe we go beyond digital, into the quantum realm or something like that, that becomes a lot more real in terms of how it interacts with us, because it's super hard to see that, like, to Sam's point and Britt, your point, that the current digital world is going to find its way to real-time interaction with these biological systems that we all walk around in and interact with.
I'll give you can I give you my kind of analogy for this? I actually, when I was in high school, I was taking calculus AB, not the BC. I took the AB.
Yeah,
right?
AB is way better.
Well, it's way easier. We had a choice in class.
Look at you, honors students.
We had a choice in, I guess it was junior year, if we wanted to take the AB or BC. We learned the same material, but I took the AB, I'll be honest.
Same.
And I remember distinctly learning about like, how do you calculate the area under a curve, whatever. And we had like TI-83s or whatever at the time. And to me, I was like, why? Like, I understand this is like a fun game, but you can just brute force all these problems. Like, who cares, right? Like, you were just like, we now have computers in our pockets. They're going to get more powerful. Like, how important is it to learn calculus when I can just brute force these problems with a shitload of compute? Like, it doesn't matter to have the actual equation to calculate area in a curve. I think that like a lot of the AI stuff in this era is kind of that same story, which is we basically have now super souped up TI-83s, and we can brute force a bunch of problems we don't actually know the answers to, right? Whether it's protein folding or whatever else.
Or how to code. Like a lot of people are not learning how to code these days.
But even coding is still not, anyway.
No, it's like even the coding stuff, like everyone's coming out now and admitting that like it is, look, as someone who is, I would argue,
cool.
Well, there's an assistant. It could like check your code, like stuff like that.
It is awesome for me. I am not a professional engineer. I've never been one. I've taken a fair amount of engineering in my life. I do actually build things and script things when I need things faster off of APIs. I love using Retool. Actually, to be honest, like the coding use case is the only thing I really get value from these systems, because it is exactly what I need. It doesn't actually give me the right answers, but it points me in the right direction on stuff I don't know, and then makes it really easy to copy paste and run.
But you have to have baseline knowledge, Sam. Like for you and me, that's super great. The non-professional engineer that like it can really help along. But for like the general person, you still can't just describe to people in English what you want and have it pop out the other side. Like it's just like no chance. Nor will it even attempt to walk you through how to get to the other side. That's what I think is so interesting.
But again, I think the thing with the interesting thing about coding, which is why it works, right, is it turns out that code actually can run itself digitally, right? And so you can validate it fully in a loop. Like there is no
It's a math
outside world
equation.
to it.
Yeah.
It's just an internal loop. And so you can, and also humans have fed GitHub with test-driven development or whatever, so many fucking examples, right? That you actually have a reasonably good data set in the digital world, right, of code. And even that it fails at. You get to harder problems, which is what's going on in the real world? How do you actually deal with these problems, whatever? And just to bring it full circle, if your source is Reddit, the answers are going to be completely hilarious, right?
I do not want a coding assistant
Reddit
based
is
on
hilarious.
Reddit users.
Because it's hilarious. Because in the end of the day, like, what's the incentive in Reddit? The incentive of Reddit is to be seen, to get likes, to communicate. Most humans don't actually have much knowledge to share. They're just bullshitting, right, for attention. And so, like, my God, is AI going to be great at it? It's going to be like our greatest achievement is the ultimate entertainment machine. And maybe it'll make us less lonely because people who really want a personal entertainment machine will get one. But like, good luck with anything beyond that.
By the way, speaking of Reddit, though, I mean, their market cap is up decently.
We called that.
They're at
When they went public, we
9.4.
were literally, if I remember right, we were like, this is one of the greatest undermonetized internet assets.
Well, I was more skeptical because I'm still questioning whether they can monetize it well.
Yeah, sure, but that's an execution question. So if you're a discerning investor, you decide if you believe in the management. But
yeah, it's like 25% since it just recently went out. I don't know. I think I will say this, you guys. I don't know what ads you're getting on social media, but I've been getting a bunch of ads for like.
I thought
SEO
you only get
specialists.
porn ads and like gear ads. I thought those were your
I
ads.
get gear ads. Well, the problem is because of content moderation, I don't get many porn ads.
Yeah,
also,
Britt, there's no porn ads on social
porn
media.
doesn't monetize well enough, is my sense, to really get ads on it. Although I will say that on a lot of Instagram seems to be ads for OnlyFans. So there is kind of somewhat porn advertising.
Yeah, that qualifies as porn to me. Why is OnlyFans not porn?
Paid. That's just like they're getting it, whatever. Here's my thing.
Do they really allow that?
All these bikini girls on Instagram have OnlyFans.
Yeah, but they can't run ads.
It's like a proxy.
They don't run ads.
It's a proxy.
They're in the Discover.
Sam's just following them all organically. He's getting organic ads.
I try to understand what the people are seeing.
Yeah. Come on, Britt.
Mapping the market. It's a venture use case.
It's unbelievable. If you try to map the market of OnlyFans models, you are fucked. It's like you're going to need AI for that problem because there are too many to follow.
How many male-oriented venture capital firms have mapped the sort of porn market?
0, because they get instantly canceled for doing it.
Okay.
Then the partner would actually have to do the work themselves, and we know they're not going to do that.
Oh, God. Sorry, back to your ads, Sam. What ads are you getting?
Okay, so I'm getting a bunch of ads for SEO the future of SEO, right?
Oh.
And it's all about Reddit. They're all like, all these like farms now of people that so claim these ads overseas are just out there like promoting stuff on Reddit with the theory that's going to get picked up into all the OpenAI Gemini models. And it is the modern SEO, and that Reddit's getting overweight now on like its terms of its value. So it is interesting to think about, like, basically you now have a bunch of people that are like building reputation on Reddit so they can promote products all over the place in comments, etc., all with the ultimate target of being at the top of like these LLM driven models.
Until Google totally cancels Reddit because it's messing up their AI
But what else
overviews.
are they going to use? I mean, then you're back to like Wikipedia. I guess which by the way has its own incentive problems.
Quora.
Right? Quora.
Worse than Reddit?
Literally no one uses Quora.
What happened to Quora? I mean, people did use Quora for a while.
I don't think anyone ever used Quora. I think we used Quora briefly.
Because we know Adam.
It's Adam's friend. No,
Yeah.
I just think Quora is a great example though. By the way, again, when Quora launched, I was really excited for it because I think the fundamental idea, right, of being like, ooh, like Wikipedia is not going to cut it, right? How do you create an incentive flow around answering real questions honestly? Is it social capital? Is it financial capital? You guys remember Biz Stone's Jelly?
Yeah,
right?
I remember
Like,
Jelly.
People have tried this so many times, and like we keep failing at it, right? Because it turns out that the internet is so much better for entertainment than it is for information, right? And this is like, I actually think this is like a Grail level problem, and one I've been interested in forever, right? Even back to the days when I was at Facebook and running the identity product group, and like, we're like, how do you think about long-term sustainable value in the space? Is like, in the real world, we have reputations. In the real world, if I tell you, Britt, there's a lion over there and there isn't, right? Or there's like real world consequences, right? Like, we have to have networks of trust and truth, and like those networks kind of power everything. And digitally, the world is just not at all tuned for that, right? Like, we don't have the same consequence loop. We don't have the same incentive structures. And so instead, we have these things that spin towards entertainment and not any real information.
Sam, your comment about ads made me think about a question I'd like to prompt both of you with, and I'll answer as well. I think our audience would like to know a little bit more about like, what are the things we're using on a day-to-day basis, like new products we're discovering, new apps we found very useful. Is there like, what AI tools do you use on a regular basis? Is there anything that's been catching your eye recently or that you've been exploring?
Dave, what have you been exploring?
Dave, what about the news app that you were using?
You mean in terms of new AI use cases?
Or just anything. Like, I feel like, I know a lot of people that probably listen to this pod. Like, I do this too. I go to the App Store and I'm like, what's trending in the App Store? Like, what are the new things that people are trying and using? You don't do this? Okay. Maybe it's
You know what
me.
I use? I'll say the most recent app I installed. Very disappointing. Have you guys been pitched yet on the DMV's identity app?
Where you can get your digital ID.
I actually did it.
I did too. What a disappointment. They're like,
but at least it works.
It does work, sort of. Where like, this is in California, a trial. I'm like, thank God I can finally get my license on. I constantly lose my wallet. In fact, I don't know where my wallet is right now.
Same.
I'm like, and then I actually recently had to go to the DMV and get another license because I lost my wallet with my license. And then someone found it underneath the seat of a Cirrus SR20 I was flying and sent me home. So now I have 2 licenses. So I was very excited about this. I downloaded, I'm very excited. And you kind of scan your face and you scan your ID and they're like, hooray, you have a digital ID. And you're like, well, what can I do with this? And they're like, nothing. One, you have to continue to have your physical license on you for it to count. Like, it's not like it's like independent of it. And 2, they're like, we're running this trial program until like 2030, at which point we may or may not renew it. And you're like, what the fuck? You just got me to download this app and promised me what I wanted and gave me nothing.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's an anti-recommendation, Sam.
Recommendation. I was flying to the East Coast. My in-laws actually, believe it or not, is very exciting. Both got honorary doctorates last weekend.
Very
from
cool.
Brown University, Mary and Jerome Vassalero.
These would be Jessica's parents, just to make that clear for everyone who listens to the pod.
And it was very nice, a great honor for them. But I was flying out and I realized I had no non-jeans because it's been COVID and whatever else. Like, why would I have any? I have like a tuxedo and jeans. And so in the airport, I went to Johnston and Murphy. Have you ever been by there in SFO?
What is that? Is that a man's store?
They have shoes, they have pants, and they have the lightest weight collared shirts I've ever seen. So that's my recommendation.
Okay, that's a good recommendation. I have one that's not a digital recommendation, which is the Big Ass Calendar. The Big Ass Calendar is the calendar the size of a whiteboard. I love the Big Ass
Calendar so much.
It's transformed our marriage and our family life. Correct, Dave? Right?
I love that thing.
Okay, so Sarah Blakely, who's a friend of mine, she's the founder of Spanx, married this guy, Jesse Itzler, and he created this thing called the Big Ass Calendar. It's a really simple idea, but it's literally just a big ass fucking calendar that has every month mapped out with every day of the month mapped out, all on a giant like whiteboard size.
Yeah, but it's like the dates go horizontal. It's really an interesting way to visualize time.
You get colorful stickies. So like one would be for you, Sam, one for Jess, one for like family. And then you map out your whole year of like who's traveling, what's going on. And then it's just like one way to see it all. And it made me realize how I've become addicted to, obviously, like my Google Calendar, but I can only see small segments of time. And anyway, I think everyone should buy a Big Ass Calendar. That's my recommendation.
I typed in Big Ass Calendar into Google and there's like 1,000 Big Ass Calendars.
No, you got to get the one from Jesse. The 2025 edition, it will be launching soon.
So can we just comment again on the humor here of we're talking about like sentient AI and we're like, you know what the best product is? It's a huge fucking calendar. That's where we actually are.
No, because
in 2024, that's where we are.
No, it's the binary future we live in. Half of our life is like screens everywhere, every Internet of Things, everything's connected. And we have so much of that now that we're desperately yearning for anything that's tactile and human and non-digital. which is hilarious because to my next point, YouTube is now launched a gaming app, a game and game
Guys,
store.
guys, we're gonna move on from this, and you can talk about YouTube gaming. But in terms of like how the internet actually works, if you type in the big ass calendar and hit images on Google search, you get a lot of big ass calendars, and they're not. God bless the internet. It's like, what did I expect to get?
Yeah.
What did I expect when I clicked on? I wanted to see a picture of which
I'm
big ass calendar it was.
Pretty sure I know what I'm getting you for Hanukkah this year,
Oh
Sam.
my God, this is unbelievable.
Okay, back to real news. So YouTube has now an app store for games, and it just announced this week that it is now rolling out more broadly. The games are dubbed playables. They'll start to appear in the YouTube app for all users, in addition to the YouTube homepage. Previously, they'd only been available for select users, and I don't know how I feel about this.
Why do you care?
Because I have children. And I'm like, the kids and the games thing, I'm already like worried about YouTube infecting their minds. And now I have to worry about all these games. And I don't know. Like, I just feel like, and LinkedIn just launched games. It's like LinkedIn's launching games, YouTube's launching games.
Because
Sam's just right. Like, it all ends in the same place.
Everything is a game and a big ass calendar. That's all it is.
Sam, when are you giving your kids access to YouTube?
I guess we have the episode title for this week.
I actually downloaded, I found this for myself using internet research. Have you heard of Quora?
Oh yeah, I've tried it. I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I tried it for a while. I mean, this comes back to the thing I said a couple of episodes ago, begging Apple to spend money on parental controls. Like, this thing barely works.
Well, but it's better. Like, okay, so a few thoughts on this. One is, hell yeah, it's Apple's fault. Like, this is like the most, I cannot believe this isn't like a more popular now. I just did a podcast called The Disagreement, where I was kind of going through the obvious reasons for national security purposes we have to ban TikTok.
Sounds like the perfect podcast for you, Sam.
It actually was pretty fun. And they found someone to debate me who was like an ACLU lawyer, like super free speech, whatever. I, of course, think I won this debate handily. The only thing that we agreed upon, I think I just like crushed it, but you know. But the only thing we agreed upon is it's all Apple's fault. Like, this is just like, Apple should just fix this problem. And like, yeah, you want to turn off YouTube games, whatever. This is like an OS level problem. Please be done with this.
So annoying.
Well, it's even worse than that, Sam. Like, Qustodio, look, to their credit, they do a great job. They're definitely the best app of all of them. However, they just can't get enough control over the device in order to achieve what a parent actually wants and needs. And frankly, the kids' minds need, right? Yeah. And so that's the frustrating thing.
It's better than
here.
Nothing. I do like that at least this app kind of gives me notifications when Lion starts like playing new things, right?
But the problem is, Sam, once he figures out how to uninstall it, you can't stop him.
That's probably true.
It is true. I've been through it. Like, he'll figure it out. And one day you'll be like, wait, why isn't the connection there?
Here's what I would do is I already, as I think you guys, we talked about a few episodes ago, have built my custom search engine for the boys, right? So basically I block.
Wait, you haven't talked about this.
No, I love this idea though.
Okay, so this is what I did. I need my children to be able to look things up on the internet, but I don't want them to use 99% of the internet or know about it. So what I've done is I block google.com. I try to like make it very hard. They also are not fully aware of it, which is good, but I've kind of like made it hard from the search. And then what I did is I built them their own custom search engine that they go to and it's like, hey, Lion, like what's going on? And they put their little prompts in, they can write their questions, like how do you do X in Minecraft? And then what I do is I basically like fill up the context window with, I am 7, do not provide me links to anything. Talk to me, da-da-da-da. Like, gives them this like long description of what I do and don't want the answers to come back as. And then it just comes back as plain text to them and logs it all so that I can see what they're searching, right? So I usually built this little mini search engine just for them. The kids think it's hilarious, especially because like at least the most recent version has started talking to Lion, where it's like he asks some question and since it knows he's 7, he goes, it always responds with, hey, little buddy, and then like gives him his answer as like a little buddy, which I think is kind of cute.
That's a good product idea. Well, what are you crawling though to get them the answers?
Oh no, I'm just using like OpenAI's API. It's like super easy.
Gemini, so basically Reddit.
Well, but what I basically do is I just basically like, listen, I will like, AI, I will kill you if you tell my kids anything about X, Y, and Z, and like keep it, it's for a 7-year-old. Like, I basically give it like all the things it can't say. And then I'm pretty comfortable with the answer, but and I get all the logging, which I think is important. So I know what was searched and what the responses were. And like, I feel good about that. Lion thinks it's hilarious, our oldest, right? Because it's like, keeps talking to him as a person, which is cute. But I was going to say, what I'd say is like, I can just load into the context window. Do not explain to me how to uninstall software. You can just kind of control the box.
But their friends are going to tell them at some point.
The kids tell each other. That's like the vector you can't control.
We're coming to you from the future, Sam, with children 2 to 3 years older.
Older than you.
It's gnarly.
No, that's a really good point. No, maybe I should make sure he doesn't have any friends and only talk to
AI. That's a really good idea. Then ask him to, if he ever does get Google, just say to type in, "I'm feeling depressed" in the search box and see what happens.
Oh, God.
I'm joking. Oh, my God. I'm just bringing it back. Guys, I'm rounding out the conversation.
Man, you really took this in a dark humor.
I'd rather he see a big-ass calendar.
Oh, God. Okay.
I mean, this is another good place to plug. One of my favorite websites for this similar purpose, Sam, is this website called thekidssshouldseethis.com.
Oh, this is a good one. That's a good plug.
Which is like my favorite. One of our kids loves engineering and science, and The Kids Should See This is like amazing. And shout out to Aaron Sittig, who is the one who originally found this. And it's become a core part of the YouTube canon that my kids can access.
I like this. Okay, so this actually brings up another product idea I've wanted someone to build in the kid space.
Okay,
ready?
Good. Yeah.
I really want like community-based collaborative filtering for my kids. This is how I'd expect it to work. I want to get to the point where you take like you build a custom YouTube app or some layer on top. And I want to be able to pick parents from like, these are like the 20 people whose judgment I trust. Right?
Totally.
And then what I basically want is a system where anytime a video gets clicked on by any kid in that community, and we can kind of do a bi-directional friend thing, everyone gets a notification being like, is this okay or not? And you actually need an affirmative, yes, they can watch it. Right?
Meaning and then all the parents get a notification?
Yeah. So basically, it's not just you, because like you're in a meeting, like you can't respond immediately. But if you have like 20 or 30 people, someone's going to be available. Like, yeah, that's fine for Lion, or that's fine for our kids, and like whatever. And then what you basically do is you start building up an index, which is not universal because parents obviously disagree about what is and okay and things like that. But
sure,
like
you're building a vector space that's like really valuable
around your community. And then you have like this kind of layer. But I think it all starts from this idea of like, is it basically reasonable to tell a kid, if you click on a video, you need to wait an extra 3 seconds because a parent, if it hasn't been already approved, is going to approve it. And you basically get rid of the algorithm, you get rid of all the fucking next video shit, and you're just like, that's how this works.
So the thing that I'd add to this, and one of the solutions that I had for this Qustodio Apple screen time settings problem was that I actually tried to go and get an enterprise account to start taking over my kids' phones using the Apple enterprise tools. Because that's like the only way you can like get total control over the phone.
How hilarious is it just for the society that it's completely easy to control your corporate employees, but not your children?
It's insane. It's really insane.
Well, and what's really insane is it's not actually that easy. It's like you have to kind of be pretty sophisticated IT thinker to even get this enterprise certificate stuff working. Like it's a hopeless thing for anyone who doesn't want to spend like a lot of time tinkering with it. And it's like deeply frustrating, but yeah, you're right. Like it should be way easier to control your kids' phones than it should be for your employer to control your phone.
Or like maybe like we could just open up a hotline to like China and just be like, hey, China, like you guys have all this data. Can you just like do that? Like I'll trade you, China. You can have my children's YouTube history, but you gotta like listen to what I asked them to see and not see. Like only every 10th video can be like propaganda. Like you can have Taiwan.
Instead, what we did is we just gave them access to every teenager in America's brain.
Yeah.
For free.
Not anymore. All right, guys, we're going to start. Well, I mean, maybe it gets banned for real, but I'm not sure yet. There's 9 more months. Okay, we're going to wrap this up with a pop culture corner that's also a tech announcement. And I can't wait to hear your reactions. Are you ready? The PCC of this week, there's now the world's first Miss AI beauty contest. And in order The winner gets $20,000. There are 3 categories that the participants are judged on: their appearance, the use of AI tools, and their social media clout. All right.
This
discuss.
is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
The whole point of AI is to make things that are highly targeted and personalized. The idea of using an AI to make a general beauty pageant thing, as opposed to like someone's into a woman with 15 arms and 3 boobs, like is like stupid.
Yeah, totally agree.
I forgot to mention 2 of the 4 judges are AI.
Of course.
Okay, well, this is all going down.
Turtles all the way down. Turtles all the way down.
Yeah, this was just announced. So I don't know the date exactly, but this is happening soon. So if you guys out there listening want to enter the Miss AI competition, good luck. And let us know how that goes.
I mean, the only reason to enter it is that this is so incredibly stupid. What's the prize?
$20,000.
Ooh.
$20,000. I mean, it's not bad.
I wonder, $20,000 is like a kind of not that expensive thing for this amount of PR if you're repeating on the PCC. What else can we throw $20,000 at for like marketing?
We could totally partner with a brand to do our own AI competition. I want to do a Mr. AI. I want to do Mr. AI competition.
Oh, that's going to work.
But Britt, it would need to be just like a bot that talks to you and tells you romance novels, right?
No, it's like men that are like half naked vacuuming.
That's what you're into?
Yeah.
Vacuuming?
Ask any woman. I bet they would totally vote for that man. Yeah. It would be fun.
Here's the thing.
Just saying.
I just think people underestimate the lighting money on fire version of marketing. I think.
How can you when Mr. Beast literally proved this thesis?
I know, and I think people still don't fully get it, which is like if you light money on fire, you have to be able to put it against something valuable, right? I mean, like, what are we marketing?
But you have to like do something where it causes lots of virality, right? Which is what Mr. Beast is so genius at.
So you know what we could do? We could have maybe we should come up with some sort of stupid thing where we'll pay people like $25,000 if they like give us 5-star rating on our podcast. We should think about what this would be, because honestly, that's like pretty economically efficient if you can get this level of virality.
I agree. I like this idea. Let's do that at our, we'll do a summer offsite to do a strategic plan for more or less, because we've never done one.
What if it's something like we could do like some sort of like thing where it's like, send us a video of you lighting $100 on fire. And the number one video of you lighting $100,000 on fire, $100 on fire, will like give you $500.
Yeah,
but you have to tag everyone in it, right, or something.
Yeah,
to give some sort of viral loop. You know what it could actually be? It could help with the inflation problem if we get everyone to burn their money.
Not a bad idea.
There's got to be some sort of burn function for the dollar.
There's a lot of symbolism of like Silicon Valley and the markets and everything right now.
The Fed isn't going to fix the money supply. I feel like the more or less will.
We've got this, guys. We've got this. All right. On that note, I'm gonna wrap us up today. I think that was a good note to end on. Thanks, guys. This was fun. Thanks, Jess, for lending me your office. I hope you're having a good event wherever you are.
Jess was having a secret cabal event. It's pretty badass.
I did one of those recently.
It wasn't that secret. It was all over social media.
I'm off to Lady Fest, which is happening today, which is another cabal event. So there's that. But thanks for listening, everyone. If you would please give us 5 stars without lighting $100 on fire or having us pay you to, that would be amazing. And please share this with your friends.
Does Lady Fest have anything to do with the big ass calendar?
It's on my big ass calendar. I told Sam earlier, he was like, well, I want to go to ManFest. I was like, isn't that what every conference is?
No, I think this is like total misinformation. We can end on this, but here's the thing. We now live in a world of lady fests and things that are a lot of men, but there are also ladies. There are no ManFests because we've somehow convinced ourselves that ManFest is canceled. And I don't think this is fair. I think if there's Lady Fest, there should be ManFest, or you should invite me to Lady Fest.
Sam, you and I are starting ManFest.
ManFest 2024. We're going on the calendar.
No big ass calendars there.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
If you enjoyed this show, please leave us a virtual high five by rating it and reviewing it on Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Find more information about each episode in the show notes and follow us on social media by searching for @moreorless, @DaveMorin, @Lesson, at JLesson. And as for me, I'm at Brit. See you guys next time.